Hey, what's up? Mark here from waycoolnews.net. Welcome you to another very exciting toy review. Today we're going to be taking a look at Neca's Rocky line, starting with the Afterfight version of Rocky Balboa. At the top of the packaging, we see the title logo from the Rocky film. Inside the O is an arms-up silhouette of Rocky from the classic scene where Rocky runs up the steps in front of the Philadelphia Museum of Art. Rocky comes housed inside a blister bubble with a pretty average pose, nothing too special, but the twist ties are very apparent, wrapping around the chest and knee area. Seated behind Rocky is some very nice packaging artwork, featuring a sort of monochromatic picture of Rocky in a fighter's pose, alongside a collage of characters from the film in the lower right corner. At the bottom of the packaging, alongside Rocky's name, is a small skewed image of the film's poster. I always really liked the poster for this film and thought it did a good job at capturing the motion behind it. The back of the packaging features the movie title at the top, with the same Rocky arms up silhouette in red below that. There is also a bio for Rocky from the first film, as well as a short paragraph letting us know that the Rocky saga has enjoyed 35 successful years since the first film, and we can celebrate that by collecting some other movie-accurate action figures from the other films. Advertised is Apollo Creed, who is also a part of the first series, as well as Rocky Balboa and Ivan Drago as they were seen in Rocky IV. They are a part of the second series, which should hopefully be available sometime in June. Rocky comes wearing the white trunks with red trim as seen in the first Rocky film when he faces Apollo Creed. Accurately captured on the front of the trunks is the Everlast logo patch. The trunks come with a very well captured texture in the elastic waistband. There also appears to be a great amount of detail. It really looks like they are wrinkled and soaked with blood and sweat. The accuracy to the film is carried on in the boxing gloves. The patch showing the Casanova brand name is handsomely detailed, and it is really amazing how they are able to replicate the fine printing of the small words. Rocky's boots are decorated in white and once again do a great job of simulating wrinkling and lacework. The textured socks are white with red trim near the top, and they stretch to a point just under the bottom of the kneecaps. Neca continues to outdo themselves. They did a great job in recreating the muscular definition of Stallone in the Rocky film. There was so much detail carefully added to the body, not just in the paintwork, which we'll get into, but the sculpt as well. Some of the more standout quality is in the muscular definition of the legs, back, forearms, chest, and stomach area where you can clearly see the outline of ribs. They even added a defined look of a collarbone, which helps emphasize punch-throwing poses. The paintwork on the body, which lies on top of all of this amazing sculpting, is something to behold as well. I spoke previously about the trunks that look like they're soaked with blood and sweat, but take a look at how the body takes a step toward realism with this sort of glossy skin tone that perfectly creates the look of sweat. Not to mention the blood that is smattered throughout spots on the body. Neca goes even further with the detail by adding the little patch of chest hair between the pectorals, which comes textured as well. Now, one thing I have to add is how little a lot of toy companies can do this, but Neca even gave us realistic looking nipples. So often toy companies choose to sculpt them but skip on painting them because they can't nail the color or tone of it. But I can honestly say I think Neca has nailed it here. So now let's take a look at the head sculpt. First off, I have to say that I prefer this after fight damaged version over the before fight one. The likeness to me is much stronger in the after fight version. The hair comes with a sweaty and disheveled look that is painted a dark black. The eyebrows share the same black paint and come in sort of a half-cocked position enforced by the swelling above the eyelids. The swelling around the eyelids look awesome. It just has the right amount of puffiness to it. It doesn't come off laughable or too fake. The sculpt for the swelling was executed really well. The swelling around the eyes come covered in blood. Some have said that the blood is too dark and that the paint application is too heavy, but I think it looks right. One of my most favorite parts of this head sculpt is the positioning of the mouth. I really like the look of the lower lip hanging down more on one side, helping expose the mouth guard. It really helps give the figure depth, and it's the little additions like this that help bring out the character of Rocky. Alright, so let's take a closer look at the articulation here for Rocky. Let's start with the head here. Now Rocky's head utilizes a ball joint, so he can do a full swivel along with some tilting left and right. He can do an upward motion, kind of, I guess it's not too upward. It's more of a straight on. He can do downward more than upward. At the shoulder, he can do a little bit of an outward motion. It's really stiff at the top here. Hard to work with, but it's not too bad, I suppose. It can rotate all the way around, but it kind of feels like it takes some work, and you really want to be gentle with them because I'm afraid of the paint rub around the joint area. And I'll show you a little bit of that here in a second. Now at the elbow, you can do a bend as well as a swivel. At the glove here, you can do a swivel all the way around, but no bend. Now what I wanted to show you here with the paint rub, especially on this one, is that the more you move these about, the more paint you're going to lose. So right here at the top of the elbow, you can see right here a little bit of paint is already starting to chip away, as well as the inside of this joint. Now I don't know if they intended to paint these joints, but it's coming off. But this is the part that I feel like is really starting to show more, is around that elbow area. Now we also get this diaphragm joint, which is pretty cool. So from what I've seen at San Diego Comic-Con, the prototype showed a little bit of better articulation in the diaphragm joint than what we get here. It was able to lean a little bit more left and right than what we get. We get a little bit of a downward motion like that. As far as going backwards, it gets kind of stuck here. The upper back hits the lower back, and it doesn't really allow it to go back too far. Now, also in paint rub, you have to look at this lower back here. You can see that some of the paint has already been chipping away due to the upper back hitting the lower back. That skin texture, though, looks great. It's pretty bad when every time I find something that can be a little bit bad about this figure, I always end up finding something that equalizes it by being good. So maybe that's a good thing. You get your ups and downs. Now right here at the leg, you can do a full swivel all the way around. At the knee, you can do a bend as well as a swivel. You can go all the way around. And at the boot, right here at the ankle, you can do a full rotation, full swivel, and a little bit of a bend, not much. We get toe articulation, but it's rather stiff and doesn't really have a whole lot of range of motion. So I guess you could probably do like a on the toe kind of pose, but that kind of requires a little bit of cooperation from the rest of the joints in order to make it work. I have a little trouble getting this figure stand sometimes as well, but there we go. But yeah, overall, it's not too bad of a figure. In terms of articulation, it has some areas it needs to be improved upon, but it definitely, in that aspect, it makes up for it in sculpt work and paint. So it's almost like what you lose in one area, you gain in the other. But overall, I still think it's a really nice figure. Overall, I am very pleased with this figure. Neca continues to shine in the paint and sculpt department. The only area that you could ask for more improvement is in articulation. Some of the joints seem a little tight, and it appears that moving and bending your figure too much could eventually cause some paint rub. So remember, if you buy this figure, be careful when posing it. As far as I'm concerned, at this price and scale, there's no better alternative offered today. So if you're lucky enough to find one in your area, pick it up because I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Be sure to stay tuned for our review of the Neca Apollo Creed figure, which is also a part of the Rocky line. And for other great toy reviews, make sure you subscribe to us here on YouTube. For WayCoolNews.net, I'm Mark, and this has been another Way Cool Review.